Good evening. Welcome to the Black Conservative Voice with David Colbert here on the CTM News Network, the voice of truth. Well, it's been quite a past week here dealing with these storms and stuff, and we're starting off a new week, and the weather here in Texas is beautiful. Good to be here in Conroe, Texas, with you here this evening. First of all, before I begin, I want to say this. My views, these are my views and these are my opinions, and they may not necessarily be the opinions of CTM News Network or its affiliate. But I have some opinions that I want to share with you tonight. First, I'll begin by sharing with you a meaning. You know, I told you before, and I've told you several times, a lot of times when people are pointing a finger at everybody else, most of the time it's 3-4 fingers pointing back at them, meaning they're saying something about somebody else, but it may well be true about them. What we're going to be talking about today, briefly, is a thing called white supremacy. What is white supremacy? Now, I'm going to give you the Merriam-Webster dictionary meaning of white supremacy. The belief that white race is inherently superior to other races and that white people should have control over people of other races. Then, this is interesting. I want you to see this. I have never, in my history of living on this, in the United States, I've never seen an alternative meaning for something given by somebody who is not a scholar. There's some young girl out of the rightful box. Now, I don't understand why this is the case, but they go on later on in this particular meaning in Merriam-Webster dictionary. It's online anyway, and it says what white supremacy is. Listen to this meaning: the alt-right, which means alternative right, and this is something they were calling Trump supporters, by the way. Alt-right is a reactionary conservative movement. It is characterized by embrace of fascism, white supremacy, and misogyny, or misogyny, or gyny, I don't know, gyny. But that last word, I may not pronounce it right, misogyny or whatever. This girl, I don't know what she's talking about. Her name is Constance Grady. She is not a scholar, so she shouldn't be putting anything along with the meaning in Webster Dictionary. Misogyny, this is what they're saying about people. Pretty much they're describing people that are conservative. They're saying that hatred of or aversion to or prejudice against women. What? This is a meaning of white supremacy? Well, let me have a portion in here. I want you to see something too. It says white supremacy is this. Listen, I'm telling you, this is stuff coming out of Webster's dictionary. The social, economic, and political systems that collectively enable white people to maintain power over the people of other races. Isn't this crazy? And what did I tell you before? The Democratic Party have been performing magic tricks for a long time with people's minds, especially in the black community. They get you so focused on one thing while they're doing something completely different. It is called misdirection. I think some Republicans have finally caught on to it, but those who voted against President Donald J. Trump for impeachment, saying that he should be convicted, I think those are some of the Republicans who have lost their way, and they need to get back and start looking at the truth, because what it was being spewed out there in the Senate was not true. We're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back with you in a moment here on the Black Conservative Voice with David Colbert, here on the CTM News Network, the voice of truth. Welcome back. You're watching the Black Conservative Voice with David Colbert here on the CTM News Network, the voice of truth. Does white supremacy exist? This is what I want to see. What does white supremacy exist in this country and in our government? The answer is yes. And the leaders of the movement are in the Democrat Party. So the answer is yes. I'm going to ask you a few questions. It doesn't make any difference what your race is. But I'm going to ask you a few questions. I want African Americans and blacks to listen to this too. This is why I'm asking the question. Why do black Americans mostly vote Democrat? This is a fact. They never keep their promises except when they want to raise taxes or do some other type of negative thing to hurt the American people, including black, by the way, black folks. What do the Democrats do for black? Well, let's see what they do for black. Hell, they keep abortion to the forefront, even though a disproportionate number of blacks are being aborted every year. 13% of women, black American women, equal to about 13% of all women in this country, but they have the majority of the abortion. Why would a race do that? Support somebody that's supporting a genocide with their own race. I think this is very strange. Blacks, to me, have been sold a bill of goods by the Democrat Party or the white supremacists, as I call them. Who are they? Are they smarter? The answer is yes. Think about it. Are they supreme? We say they're supremacists. Are they supreme? Are they in control? Yes. Why? Why do I say that? This is a sad fact, people. I don't like admitting this, but unfortunately it's true. But they use a technique called brainwashing. They do it in our lower income communities. And if you ever notice, those less fortunate, those that are just so poor to get such poor education, they're just so low. This is not the white people around, the everyday white folk. These are people in the government that are propagating these statements. Oh, they're so disadvantaged. Well, how are they disadvantaged? Who is making them disadvantaged? Answer, the government. They're giving them handouts. Get them used to what they talk in the Bible, hand to mouth. You can't do hand to mouth if you want to be successful. You got to put your feet on the road and get going forward. Now, I'm not talking about every African American or every black person in this country or every white person in this country. I am talking about the Democrat Party and their methods for keeping people under control. What did we say? What did you see? Matter of fact, let me move on. I don't want to get past myself. If someone entered your house and told you to kill your children, would you consider them good folks? Let me ask black folk that. Or anybody, really. Would they be considered good if they came into your house and told you to kill your children? Yet blacks run after Democrats like puppies, like they love them so much. They destroy employment. They destroy your neighborhoods by inactivity, doing nothing except coming in and give you handouts through their America Last policy. America Last. They give us crumbs. And the reason why I'm using the word puppies, don't take it as a racist slur, saying they're dogs or anything like that. But if you remember in biblical times, what did you give the puppy? What did the guy say? Well, he asked the Lord, he said, Lord, the lady said, Lord. He says, aren't the dogs at least worthy of the scraps that are off the table? So what I'm telling you is the policies of the Democrat Party for years have continued to come out and give us scraps off the table. When President Trump was in office, he set us at the table and we received what we were supposed to receive as American citizens. Yet you keep believing their promises because they hand out free stuff. Pretty much that's what it is. You got somebody handing you out free stuff. What are you going to wake up and see or wake up and smell a coffee? That by our very actions, some of us are showing ourselves to be considered inferior by your very actions. Why are you accepting the fact that you can't go out and start a business and accomplish great things, not selling drugs or anything else like that? Why are you not doing it? Because they want you to sit back and get welfare checks. And not only, there's a lot of people that are on welfare, different things like that. I'm not saying it's only black, but I'm saying with the issues that we're having in our black communities, why are we so hung up on the Democrat Party? It's because we have been brainwashed. I don't care. I know that we're going to have issues over this. Some may complain about it, whatever. But I'm telling you what I see, and this is my opinion, like it or not. I can't figure it out. A lot of us missed it all these years. When Candace Owens came out about it and the Democrats started leaving the party in droves, they did her with the castle culture. They shut her down. But she came back once again. She found a way around it. She got back and she's still speaking out, hopefully saving a lot of our people from this foolishness that the white supremacist Democrat Party is trying to put us through. Let me tell you something. Those of you that are black out there, and I mean, of course, everybody's listening, but those of you that are black out there, listen to me. You stood up in the house and you listen to all these people saying all these things about President Trump and how he was this way, he's that, he's this way, and all this, he hasn't done anything. He's hurt the American people. I haven't heard hardly any blacks stand up from him. I hear people defending Biden and all the garbage he's doing. I know it's not going to last long because the brainwashing kind of wears off once these people get in office. They start to see what's really happening. But a lot of blacks voted these people back into office. And they had blacks, our own people, cursing it at Candace Owens. And obviously preaching hatred toward Candace Owens as a person standing out, supporting and standing up for blacks. Of course, we also had Kim Klacik that stood up against the Democrat Party in Baltimore. They tried to crucify her. And I'll tell you the truth, I don't believe those election results were correct. I really don't. Because in my hometown, it looked as a lot of more people supported her. The majority of people supported her. Not this other guy. I haven't even heard anything about him since Nkrumah. I spoke his name, but I haven't heard his name. You know, they convinced us, the white supremacist Democrats, convinced us to fight against each other while they rake in our tax dollars, kill our children through abortion, and further their own personal lives and their agenda. Black folks, why do we keep missing it? Why do we keep missing it? The reason we keep missing it, they got a misdirection. President Trump was a wonderful misdirection for them. But let me share something with you. I want to ask you something about this. And I have to say this because I believe it's very important to say this. And it doesn't make a difference what color your skin is. I just want to ask you this question. One of the last questions I want to ask you to tell you is why Trump was hated so much. Why was Trump hated so much? What did he do to receive such hatred? What did I tell you about the Democrat Party? The white supremacists, right? What president has ever done as much for the black community as President Donald J. Trump? I dare say none of them. None of them have. He stood up for pro-life, which is something that worked against having our 13% of black women having the majority of the abortion over 700,000 in a year, having the majority of abortions. Then we come back behind that. He supported the historically black colleges, giving them 10 years of funding, which Biden is threatening to reverse. Now, I'm telling you, he's going to do it quiet. But the thing is, guys, he did that. We should not be voting Democrat. They are against our people. And I am the black conservative voice telling you the truth. That's what conservatism really talks about, keeping things close to the vest, keeping things under control. Conservatism means keeping the government small and out of control. What did we just say about white supremacy? We said that it seeks to control other races. I don't believe this is so in a general majority, but I do believe it is so with those who are in the Democrat Party. Watch it. Look at it enough, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. I'm not pulling your leg. This is the truth. The reason they hated Donald Trump so much is because he loved the black. Think about it. Think about it. Think hard. Think of what he did for the blacks, the minority. Think about what he did for the Muslim community, the Asian community. What President Trump did, he was looking out for the American people, who is a diverse amount of people. We're not all the same race. But President Trump went out of his way to unite the American people. Blacks, Asians, Muslims, Christians, whatever, Jewish, whatever. He did his best to try to unite. But they did not want that. They did not want President Trump to unite the American people. They wanted to push this racism thing so that they could keep their dirty agenda going, which they're still doing. They're seeking to destroy this country. Wait a few years, you'll see what I'm saying. We'll be back in a hole as we were before all of this mess started, before President Trump came in and tried to rescue us. Hopefully, the Republicans will have the guts to stand up and we'll retake the House in 2022 and bring some sense back into the government. Not to say it always had sense, but let's bring some normalcy back to it in regard to the fact that we need to be heard. What is the attitude of someone who wants to take control? Well, the attitude of someone who wants to take control, what do they do and what do we see the cancel culture, the Democrat Party, and all those who are against President Trump doing? They were trying to shut you up. They wanted to shut you up. You know, everybody, what gets me, and I'll say this and then we're going to go ahead and close the statement here. When I was growing up back in the 60s, and some of you may remember, of course, some of you are older than me, I remember even when the civil rights marches were going on, there was a lot of white folk there. A lot of them. It wasn't all black. There was a lot of white folk marching for civil rights. There were Hispanics too marching for civil rights as well. Yet, if you believe the Democrat Party, it was only black, and everybody was against blacks, and they were just out against blacks. Big freaking lie. There were a lot of whites, Asians, and everybody else that were involved in the civil rights movement. Yet you don't hear about that because you got a party, the Democrat Party, that's constantly trying to cause division in this country. They did Jim Crow. It just curls my skin when I hear them use Jim Crow as though they had nothing to do with it. They created the freaking Jim Crow law. We have a president in office right now who was a mentor. His mentor was Robert Byrd, the head of the KKK. Yet everybody just hides that fact, how he spoke so greatly of Robert Byrd at his funeral. They ignore that. Oh, that's no big thing. So what? Then, of course, we keep forgetting about Hunter and all these things going on. Of course, they'll probably be calling that hate speech now, probably. You know, they're already blocking me on different channels. They demonetize our channels and stuff like that. This is pure foolishness because we're telling the truth. They don't want you to hear the truth. I'm telling you the truth. And I'm a black man. I was raised in the slums of Baltimore, Maryland. I suffered. I had rats, roaches, and everything else that we have in some of the poor communities there. But we also had Democrats come and telling us all they were going to do. Yet I still woke up every morning and saw my house and the neighborhoods infested with rats and roaches. I didn't see anybody doing any extermination. I didn't see nobody putting out any people in the public there to help us to clean up our neighborhood. No, didn't see it. Especially no Democrats. Oh yeah, they came to hand out some government cheese or a few waters and stuff like they're doing now here in Houston. Like that's going to solve any problems. You just have a lot of poor people who are a little more fuller and not as thirsty. I appreciate what my friend And I don't know, hopefully this don't hurt him. But anyway, my bishop, anyway, my church, I'm not going to mention his name. But him and his family are trying to do something to further the black community moving forward here in the Houston area. But it doesn't happen by standing around saying, gimme, 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 my name is Jimmy. We need to get our butts out, go to school, go to college, get your degrees, do what you got to do to accomplish what you need to accomplish, and stop blaming the white man for everything. Now, you might not like this, and I may get a lot of hate speech things on this, but I don't hate nobody. I love everybody. God has created me, and he told us we got to love each other. And we need to love each other, Joe Biden, and we need to take care of our brothers and sisters. I don't care what color their skin is, what religion they are, what faith, whatever, sexuality, I don't really care. God will handle all the other stuff. He takes care of all those things. We all have to answer for our actions. So I'm not saying anything wrong about anybody other than the fact that I believe that the Democrats are displaying, there are a lot of white Democrats, guys, they're displaying the what we call white supremacy. Now, they tried to tie us in here because we're conservative, so they're trying to say the conservatives are white supremacists. What did I show you in that meaning, which really isn't a meaning? But anyway, we're going to take a short break. I want to thank you for listening. This is my opening statement. I'll be right back with you in a moment on the Black Conservative Voice with David Colbert here on the CTM News Network, the voice of truth. Welcome back. We're watching the Black Conservative Voice with David Colbert here on the CTM News Network, the voice of truth. Hopefully I haven't alienated any of my viewers. I didn't want to alienate you, nor do I believe that everybody, nor do I believe that President Trump was a white supremacist. It wasn't. White supremacists, if anybody know them, or anybody know them, the Ku Klux Klan in the past, they hate the Jews, they hate the blacks, any minorities pretty much. And they don't want to be around you. They don't want you touching. They don't want you doing nothing like that. And as far as I can see with President Trump, as everybody kept trying to say he was white, I think, give me a freaking break. The man surrounded himself with minorities. He had minorities hugging him, touching him everywhere. Not like Mr. Biden saying some little girl touched him on his leg. What did that do? Get you excited, Mr. Biden? Anyway, never mind. But moving on. We know Psaki press her. She tries to defend Biden's lack of support for Texas. Now, Biden's supposed to be coming to Texas. He may be here now in Texas as we speak. She says to the press, as it was there, she said he's closely watching the news, talking to his team, and he is eager to go down to Texas. Well, if you're eager, jump on Air Force One and come on down here. Since you're so eager to come to Texas and show his support. Yeah, sure. He hates Texas because we're Republican run, and all they want to do is create false narratives, especially during this storm. They're creating all this false narratives, trying to say that we were this way, we were that way. But they're saying what they're saying because we're seeing now that this climate change garbage really they're talking about is not true. In previous disasters, President Trump would immediately head to areas needed to lead the rescue and recovery effort by his personal example. But Psaki appeared to admit Biden's presence on the ground would not be helpful. This is what she said. It would not be helpful. What would not be helpful to have your commander-in-chief to come out and to see what's going on with the people of America? I think he was just too tired, to tell you the truth. He probably was sleeping, taking a nap. She also attempted to defend Biden's failure to distribute COVID-19 vaccines left to him by President Trump. He had distributed a lot of stuff that was left to him to be distributed by President Donald J. Trump. Critics have taken an attack at Psaki for her uninformative answers as Texas is reeling amid lack of federal support. Millions of doses of vaccines still sit in warehouses while thousands of Americans continue to die. In other words, President Trump left millions of vaccines. You know, you hear about all these people talking about, and you got Biden visiting Pfizer and all this stuff, talking about rolling out more vaccines. So what are they doing? They're holding back the vaccines that President Trump had stored up for the people of America, saying, no, we don't want the vaccines that he got through Pfizer. We want them to make a whole new set of vaccines so that we can say we did it. I'm telling you, people, this is the pettiness of the Democrat white supremacists. Pretty much that's what they are. They spent years trying to say that this is the way Donald Trump was, and it was a freaking big lie. And he proved Biden supported censor of big tech. Now Biden is supporting people coming out against the COVID-19 vaccine, saying that they don't believe that you need to take it because there's enough therapeutics to treat it if you happen to get it, which is pretty much the truth. Most therapeutics can treat it, and you can heal from it. Now, people can take it if they want. Some, I believe, already have immunity to it, since we have so many that tested positive. But I'm telling you right now that President Biden now has sided with big tech. This is bad news for us here in the conservative news media and conservative talk show. Because what this means is we're going to still continue to have our voices censored. And they're going to continue to try to silence it. I don't even know if they'll let this part of my broadcast get out. But they probably will, because they won't be able to cut it. But they will do what Facebook always likes to do, and that is restrict your viewers and to demonetize your account, which to me I think is very unfair. I think it is actually unconstitutional because it is blocking our right to free speech and to share the free idea. What a difference a day makes. We are fighting to stop censorship or free speech, and now we have a president siding with big tech's overreach so they can continue to violate our right for free speech and demonetize conservative voices. Well, you know, there has been some good news in the Republican Party as far as the states go. Now, I would encourage the Republicans in the Senate and in the House of Representatives, you need to stand behind your states. Stop acting like they're different than you. Their values, the Republican values in the states, should well be the same Republican values in our government, federal government. Strong show of Republicans appear to be winning state legislatures in redistricting. That means setting it up so that we have control over more districts. The resulting from November's election totals have helped us in redistricting. Goodness gracious, can't get that T out. Could go more in our favor as the GOP comes up in 2022 for re-election. Joe Biden is still promising once again to come after Americans' guns. He still wants your guns, people. He still wants your gun. Now, let me read. I got a little thing here. Sometimes I got my little things I like to read here. But let's see. We got here. Oh, no. This is a good story here. Let me go to this one first. President Trump has denounced. This is Steve Scalise. He made a statement recently. He stated that President Trump has denounced what happened on January 6th. But during summer, when they were burning down cities, shooting cops, beating people in the street, you saw the left denouncing January 6th as we did, but they didn't denounce what happened in the summer. We denounced. What he's saying is we were denouncing, saying these people, this actions in the streets that happened in last summer, 2020, were being denounced by the Republican Party, but the Democrat Party was not saying anything. Matter of fact, Kamala Harris had people in this Minnesota PAC or whatever it is bailing out Antifa thugs and BLM rioters. Now, South Carolina recently, Governor McMaster Thursday signed a law banning nearly all abortions in the state, and Planned Parenthood's women's health group followed suit of arguing the procedure was unconstitutional. Now we see here that the Supreme Court or the Supreme Court of the state or the courts or whatever overruled the governor's law that he passed legally with the support of the people in the state. As one of the most restrictive prohibitions on abortion, the so-called fetal heartbeat law prohibits abortion after fetus heartbeat has been detected, often with 6 weeks and before a woman realizes she is pregnant. Abortion is one of the most contentious issues in the U.S. Religious beliefs are cited by opponents to declare them unethical, and their defenders declare it an issue of women's health and privacy among their arguments. But this is a matter of life, people, and life and death. Now, moving on to our next story, but the thing is, this abortion thing, somebody's going to answer for it. They're going to answer for it, people. Don't worry about that. They will, because God is still in charge, regardless of what they like to say. President Joe Biden urged Congress on Friday to quickly approve the Equality Act, putting it directly on collision course with the American Catholic bishop. Biden said in a statement, Americans have been deprived of LGBT people and their families of full equality for too long. Despite the extraordinary progress the LGBTQ community has made in securing their basic civil rights, discrimination remains pervasive in many areas of our community. What are you talking about discrimination? They're not different than anybody else. And that's the thing that we got a problem with. At least I do. Because they're blacks, there's whites, there's Hispanics, there's Jewish, there's what do you call them? Asians, whatever. They're all racist. Discrimination or this civil rights was supposed to be based on race or maybe sex or whatever. But here we have now, when you get in a group of people, they're pretty much undetermined, and we're trying to get some civil rights law passed on that. United States bishops, along with many other religious leaders, have expressed dissatisfaction with the prospect of the Equality Act and urged Congress not to pass legislation which would be particularly harmful to women and destructive to religious freedom. You see what it is, people? It's what I told you before. It's destructive to religious freedoms. I told you before, they're coming after your religious freedoms. That's exactly what they're coming after. They're coming after our rights under the Constitution. Biden claimed that he was once arrested. Can't turn out to be a lie, because he said this on David Letterman's show back in 2007. And they're pretty much, all they're doing in this thing is trying to get you to understand that there's a lot of lies going on in this government. None of which have also kind of released anything dealing with this thing with Hunter Biden and the Biden family. Now we have a new, I don't know how that went. I didn't really see the whole thing. It may still be going on about somebody head of the DOJ. So who knows? Let's say cover up, more cover up, because there's a lot of dirt and people are burying. Defense Secretary says National Guard troops will be leaving mid-March from Washington, D.C., but is concerned about long-term protection for, I guess, the government capital or whatever. It's not like this has never happened before. The Capitol has been breached years ago, too, before, and President Trump probably wasn't even alive back then. I'm pretty sure, I think it was 1800s. He wasn't even alive. So here we have this thing that's going on. Let's look at this real close right now. Immigration policy. Here we're looking at immigration policy. The ACLU, the American Center for Civil Liberties Union, calls Biden's guidance on ICE, and that's the Immigration Authority, arrest, deportation, a disappointing step back. This is coming from the ACLU. The new guidance narrows enforcement priorities for the agency. This is a memo, according to a memo that was put out. The memo is a disappointing step. This is Biden's memo. Disappointing step backwards from the Biden administration earlier commitments to fully break from the harmful deportation policies of both the Trump and Obama presidencies. Noreen Shaw, ACLU's Senior Advocacy and Policy Counsel, said in a statement. And what they're talking about, people, is this thing allowing the sex offenders to come across our border and holding them there. ICE officers will need pre-approval now before arresting some illegals, immigrants, under the new rules that President Biden has put in place. ICE newly released sex abuse convicts after confusion over Biden's release to release them all memo. He said release them all. That's what Biden said. Release them all. Release them on the American people. Let them attack the American people. Pretty much that's what he's saying. Well, we're going to take a short break and we'll be right back with you in a moment as we close here on the Black Conservative Voice with David Colbert. Welcome back. You're watching the Black Conservative Voice with David Colbert here on the CTM News Network, the voice of truth. On last Friday, the U.S. House of Representatives introduced a bipartisan resolution condemning the action of China government and local authorities in Hong Kong, which they said violated rights and freedoms in the city. Lawmakers in the House of Representatives reintroduced a bipartisan bill on Thursday that would ban imports from China's Beijing region unless it's certified non-production through forced labor and allow new sanctions to impose on China officials responsible for abusing against, I can't pronounce this word, Uyghur Muslim. Among the main sponsors of the Hong Kong resolution introduced on Friday was Representative Greg Lee, the Democrat chair of the House Foreign Affairs Committee, and Representative Michael. So we see here that we have China doing pretty much the same thing they've been doing for years. They have a lot of things that they're doing overseas in different countries, and their abuses continue, human rights. And also, people, I want to share this quick thing before I say so long, is that, you know, in this country, I believe that we have some decent people. We have some really good people here. And even though I began this program talking about white supremacy, it's not that I believe that that necessarily exists as a movement, but it does exist in the Democrat Party. And understand me what I'm saying. This thing about white supremacy, to me, and give me a moment here to explain it. To me, is a matter of evidence. It's a matter of evidence. Now, when I say that, I'm not putting down anybody, guys, so don't talk me down or shoot me down. But I'm saying it's a matter of evidence. So, if I got two students, let's say it this way. One student is very intelligent, and they're doing certain things, and they're accomplishing great things. Yet the other student can't catch up to that level, and they're just not cutting it. Then what do you say about that? Is that a better student that knows more, is more intelligent? Is that a student supreme, which this pretty much means above, or, you know, or I don't know if it means better than or not, but supreme or a good student? Or what? Or is the other student an inferior student? The way I see it is this. There's been some things done, I think, with homeschooling and stuff like that. And children are allowed to work to the level which they're accustomed to in which involve the levels in their lives that they deal with. To me, supremacy is not something that you can actually put a finger on. But what I did and what I mentioned to you in the very beginning, we need to start questioning. If somebody is saying stuff like this, what are they saying? Are they this way themselves, or are they trying to say that we are this way? Because what they're saying here in this country, and pretty much we all know this, they're saying with this critical race theory that everybody's racist. Not just you, not just me, but everybody. We're all racist. So, I don't know. I think really it's a thing, and the reason why I brought it out this time because I don't want to talk about it anymore. Because the thing is, as we get into these things, and as the Democrats like to do, as I told you in the beginning, is misdirection. They want to get your focus off on this. They don't want you to see the fact that President Trump was doing so much for the Asians, for the African Americans, for the whites, for the blacks. President Trump did not discriminate in what he did for people. He did to help everybody. He helped our Border Patrol. He helped the police officers. These people are the people that protect us, that protect our nation. So why are we attacking our former president? I want to just mention this latest thing, and then I'm going to let you go. You know, and I could not believe this when I heard this. I could not believe this. They actually have a bill on the floor in Congress to block President Donald J. Trump from being buried in the Arlington National Cemetery because he was such a horrible president. Give me a freaking break. Under the man's leadership, this country had the best economy in history. It had the lowest unemployment rate. It had the highest employment rate, the highest raise in income in the history of this country for minorities and other minorities, and African American and other minorities. Yet everybody ignores that. Everybody ignores what the president has done, and they keep coming up with all this, what I call misinformation. Because they're always calling misinformation. But the fact of the matter is, they are the ones who are creating misinformation, and they are the ones who are informed and who want you to be misinformed. That is why they have the mainstream media by the short and curly, pardon my expression, and they are keeping them under lock and key, promoting lies over truth. Keep believing them, those of you who believe the garbage that the mainstream media put out there. And as I told you, if you want to talk about white supremacy, look at the Democrat Party. The leader of that party, the commander-in-chief in this country, say what you want to say. Anybody else listen to me, YouTube, whatever, Facebook, this is a fact, this is a known fact, that our present president, Joseph Biden, Robinette Biden, spoke highly of a man who hated minorities, African Americans, Hispanics, Jews, any other race that wasn't white, spoke highly, calling this man his mentor. And he's sitting in the White House. The only thing I've heard about President Trump in regard to these people saying he was white supremacist, well, famous African American football player got up and spoke at the Republican National Convention last year and said that he had never seen anything prejudiced at all about Donald J. Trump. And he'd been over the man's house, he's been in a relationship or whatever. He says there's nothing like that. And I can guarantee there's millions of others who realize that very fact. Well, I want to thank you for listening to me ramble on, but I do appreciate you joining us here on the Black Conservative Voice. My name is David Colbert, and I do invite you to come back with us and join us tomorrow night here on the Black Conservative Voice with David Colbert. Once again, I want to say what I always like to say to you. And forgive me if I ramble on too much tonight, but I want to say, God bless you, God bless America, and God bless the world. Until next time, this is David Colbert saying good night and God bless.